Hey Canucks fans, welcome to Clay's Canucks commentary for Monday, July the 8th. I'm Clay Emo, I'm at Canuck Clay on Twitter, I'm at Clay Emo on Instagram, I'm the founder of the GLCPC, the Good Looking Canucks Positivity Club, and this is my Canucks take, all in one take. Before I start, I just wanted to say thank you to those of you who've greeted me so far. It is indeed mine and Gail's 19th wedding anniversary. We got married on July the 8th, year 2000, and I posted about it on my Twitter account earlier today, and I also mentioned it in my YouTube video yesterday. So thanks again for your greetings. I really appreciate it. Okay, today I want to talk about revisit the JT Miller trade. And I bring this up because after a roller hockey game last night, two of my good friends on our team were having a very spirited discussion about the JT Miller trade and whether or not we gave up too much. And I know we talked about this before, but it was worth revisiting because of the analogy that I heard one of my friends give. So we're talking about the Vancouver Canucks. We're talking about their outlook for this season and beyond. And of course, we see the amount of available cap space we have shrink very quickly with the signings of Edler, Myers, the trade for JT Miller. You know, we still got Louis Eriksson's, Jay Beagles, Brandon Sutter's, Sven Berchi's, those type of contracts on the books. And we know that the Canucks are going to have to make some moves to make sure that they can sign Brock Besser. And no, I'm not going to talk about the Brock Besser pictures with the towel. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and just say that he simply was wearing a towel and he wouldn't be dumb enough to, or he'd have better judgment than to post any picture that would cause speculation, i.e. injury or whatever it may be to his left arm. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, go look it up on the net. I'm sure you'll find it. But anyways, our whole conversation in the locker room did start with Brock Besser. How are we going to make room to sign him? So we talked about that, then it moved to the JT Miller trade, of course. And I'm just going to use the names of Mike and Charlie. I'm using those names because those are the two guys that we're talking. Those are the actual names, Mike and Charlie. Mike, you might recognize. He's my season ticket partner with the Canucks. And then there's Charlie, another good friend of mine on our team. And basically, Mike hates the JT Miller trade or doesn't like it, and Charlie loves it. And for Mike, it's not because he doesn't like JT Miller, it's because he doesn't like what we gave up. So just to refresh our memory, it was Saturday, June the 22nd. It was my birthday. It was the morning, I think, the morning of the Saturday. And then we heard the trade that it was Marek Mazanek, backup goaltender, and then a conditional first-round draft pick either in 2020 or 2021, and then the third-round draft pick for this year, the pick that was used that Saturday, that same day by the Tampa Bay Lightning. And that conditional, of course, we know is depending on if the Canucks make the playoffs. If the Canucks make the playoffs in this season, then it's the 2020 draft pick that goes to first round that goes to Tampa. If the Canucks do not make the playoffs this season, then no matter what, it's the 2021 draft pick, first-round draft pick that goes to the Lightning, whether or not we make the playoffs or not in that second season. So we know that not all they have to do, but if the Canucks make the playoffs in one of the next two seasons, then at least we know that draft pick is going to be in the bottom half of the first round. And that was the crux of the argument at first. Charlie, who liked the trade, likes JT Miller, and he liked the fact that, you know, we have a player in his prime for the next 4 years on a decent contract, $5.25 million, but he's going to improve our top six, improve our scoring, improve our team overall, and give guys like Horvat, Pettersson, Besser, Hughes, you know, he's a winner. He's a proven winner, and that a good player who the core four can play with and grow with over the next 4 years. So we're not. I mean, we don't have to argue JT Miller's worth. We know his worth. He's 51 point average over the past 4 seasons with the Rangers and the Lightning. So he's a good player, top 6 player, worth the money. That's fine. Okay, so there was no argument about JT Miller, the player, and what he could do for our team and for the younger guys on the team. And then it got into the draft picks, of course. And then there's a conditional first that many people, Charlie was okay with, because actually, and I agree with Charlie a lot, because we're confident, right? We're GLCPC. We think the Canucks will make the playoffs in one of the next 2 seasons. So that draft pick will be a bottom half of the first round. And with the bottom half of the first round, you never know. He could pan out, i.e. Besser, or he might not pan out. And if he does pan out, it might be 4, 5, 6 years down the road, years that, you know, we don't have to wait, so to speak, if we want to make the playoffs now. I know some would say, well, we want to build a cup contender, not a playoff contender, so to speak, not a team just to squeak in the playoffs. But Charlie's point, and I agreed with him, was that, you know, we get JT Miller in his prime for 4 years now, and this bottom half of the first round draft pick potentially might not even be as good as JT Miller. And if not, then you're waiting too long for him, and yeah, he might not even be as good. So it was, and then Mike actually agreed with Charlie on the conditional first rounder because he's optimistic at least as well. He so badly wants the Canucks to make the playoffs. But where it got interesting was about the third rounder, and Mike is insistent that the Canucks should not have had to throw the third rounder in. because as much as we say you never know, you can also find steals, right, in the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh round, whatever it may be. So Mike hated the fact that the Canucks had to throw in the third round pick, whereas Charlie was saying maybe that's the pick that got the deal done. Maybe the Tampa Bay Lightning were entertaining offers from other teams, and that third round pick kind of sealed the deal, so to speak. So they went back and forth. It was kind of funny. They were listening to each other, and then Mike came up with this analogy, and this is what I want to ask you, Canucks fans. Do you agree with this analogy? So he used this analogy yesterday. He says you want to buy a car, and you could get the car for $20,000, but instead you spend $30,000 on it. Okay, so that was Mike's analogy first, is that you overpaid for JT Miller, whether it's in terms of draft picks, the first rounder or the third rounder, whatever it be. So that was his first point, is you're paying $30,000 for a $20,000 car. And that's the numbers Mike pulled out of the air. But then he said, but not only do you get that car for $30,000 where you could have got for $20,000, but you bought a sports car. But you are a family with 5 or 6 kids. Now I know if that was Mike and the Catholic thing coming in or whatever. Actually, Mike only has one kid, a very cute kid named Lyndon of all names. But Mike's point was, you bought a sports car, but what you really needed is a van because you have 5 or 6 kids. And I'm pretty sure what he was getting. I know what he was getting at there was not necessarily with JT Miller. He's not questioning JT Miller's value and the way he can fit in, but rather, why are you giving away draft picks when what we should be trying to do is build our team? We are rebuilding. We need all the assets we can get. So why would you change the value, change what you need by, i.e., getting a sports car when what you really need is a minivan? So it was really, really interesting analogy, both the overpayment analogy and the whole are we getting what we need, so to speak, in terms of why are we giving away draft picks when we should be accumulating as many draft picks and assets as we can. So that was really funny the way Mike brought it up. He kind of had the whole locker room kind of laughing and giggling. And then I appreciate it, maybe because I don't have 5 kids, I have 3 kids, but we do have a Honda Odyssey minivan, so maybe that resonated with me. But whatever it is, it was really good. And then Charlie and Mike had a good chuckle, and it didn't get heated at all from a standpoint. They weren't going to fight each other. Mike would probably win, but then it was more of just a simply difference in opinion. So it was really funny how Mike had his analogy of the sports car and overpaying for it. And then we had Charlie being the GLCPC member. And then right at the end, I think Charlie felt like it wasn't going his way. And he basically said to me, Clay, what do you think? Right? And then I actually joked. I said to Charlie, I agree with a lot of things you said, but Mike and I have had this conversation already, because Mike and I did indeed have this conversation 2 or 3 times since the JT Miller trade. So a long way of saying, what side do you fall on? And where now, 2 weeks later, where do you fall out on this JT Miller trade? Now that we've seen the way that the Canucks cap room has shrunk a little bit, but we can still get excited about what JT Miller is going to bring. And then how do you value the conditional first round pick? How do you value the third round pick that we gave up? I can't even remember who Tampa picked with that. I don't know who we would have picked with that. It's all hearsay now. But in essence, I'm really interested in your opinion. And do you agree with that analogy that Mike was making with the sports car and overpaying for that sports car when what you really need is a minivan? Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your reactions. Do you agree with Mike? Do you agree with Charlie? Are you somewhere in the middle? Tell me now what you think about the JT Miller trade 2 weeks later. Is it still good for our team? Are you happy and excited for what he's going to bring to our team? Or do you still lament how much we had to give up for him? Leave a comment below. I love to read, react, and reply. As always, subscribe if you like to. Like this video if you like to. Enjoy the day. God bless. And go Canucks go.